All right, so hi guys. Guess what? We are here, and oh no, I have something to confess. I am a dirty, disgusting liar of an artist. I've cheated, because everyone, in the course of this three-way collab, I did the most awful atrocity in the art community, and I traced a chair. Yeah, I did not want to deal with drawing a chair when I was working on this, so I'm not hiding it, and I don't think there's any shame in it. But yes, I am a dirty, filthy, disgusting artist, and I broke the cardinal sin of tracing a prop because, of course, no one has ever in a million years done. Not like the industry's done that at all. It doesn't happen. It's unforgivable. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, and I admit that because it's literally in the video, and I was gonna admit it anyway because I don't care. Because I personally think, like, when you trace like objects or props, it's not that big a deal. But for some people, it's the same level as smacking a baby. So there you go. Some people don't got their priorities right, but I wanted to admit that. So let's get into the actual details of this video now, why don't we? So hi, it's spooky, scary skeleton season. It is Art-O-Ween. My first year ever trying to do something like this, kind of like how I have art miss and stuff like that. But hello Weenie, because I love the spooky scary skeletons. I love the spooky season. October is realistically one of my favorite months of any of them. And I wanted to talk about how I reached out to a bunch of my artist friends for this whole series and working on this event. And three of my friends that I've contacted were Artsy and Danny's Art Den. I will have their links in the social media down below. I will also have the links to their videos. Yes, oh my god, can you believe it? We all did videos. It's revolutionary. It is a true collab. I don't tend to do these very often, where we both have or all three of us have the perfect rendition of the examples of the collab. So we are starting off with me sketching Artsy's vampire boy. I don't know much about him. I know that he is apparently going to be a part of Artsy's comic project. At least I hope I'm getting that right. And so we were all talking about how we're like, hey, we all love spooky seasons, we all love gothic aesthetics, and ironically enough, we all have vampire OCs. And we also all have vampire OCs that will eventually someday have comics related to them. And so that was the whole thesis and point of this original collab, was let's all draw our vampire OCs doing something. And then a friend of mine was like, it was either Danny or Artsy, I don't remember which one. But they were bringing up how they're like, why don't we all do something kind of sexy, a little, a little spicy, but that tasteful spice, And we all agreed, we're like, yes, come on, let's bring on the spice. They're vampires, you have to have the spice. So for the reason and thought that I had with my version of the sketch for Artsy's character was also have fun watching me triple sketch this thing. Because it was a collab, I wanted to make sure my sketches were very clean, because I was giving them to somebody else. If you watch my normal videos, my sketches are not this clean. But I really like the tasteful spice in older vampire paintings, and that's kind of what I was trying to go for with him. It's also why I literally googled fancy tiny chair for the thing, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to waste the time drawing that. But I also thought it was fun to mess with his outfit a bit. I decided to give him this long skirt sort of undershirt thing that Artsy, when coloring him, did a beautiful job. So with how the process was for this was, we all sketched another person's vampire, we all inked another person's vampire, and then when it came to the coloring, we got to color our vampire baby. So I got to color my boy, Danny got to color his girl. I was going to say his boy, and that's not how it works. His girl, and then Artsy got to draw their boy. And there's the police. Of course, the joys of living in a city. Hopefully you didn't hear that, but if you did, just there you go. That's what I get. That's what I get for accidentally misgendering character. The popo's coming. I'm making a terrible joke. Anyway. So, yeah. That's all I gotta say for that part. But once we get into the actual inking portion, I have a bit more to say, because I do love me some good slurpy slurp inks, as you guys know. All right, here we are. We are now in the inking portion. Who would have thought? Wow, the magic of editing. Oh my god, amazing. Revolutionary. So, anyway, I use the dry brush ink in Procreate. I don't mess with it at all. I usually shoot for between 8 to 10 thickness on, I try to shoot for like an 8.5 by 11 canvas, usually at anywhere between 400 to 500 DPI, just for the basic specs for that. But I loved this. So I got to ink Danny's girl, and she is a really fun, like, modern gothic vampire. Who thought that I would have loved modern gothic vampires to draw? She's also got all of my weaknesses. She's got the long hair, she's got the lace, and I really liked how Artsy ended up drawing, sketching up the, like, spiderweb lace. I always love little details like that when I work with other people and we get to do fun collabs like this, where you get to see how other people add details to things, because, like, something as simple as adding spiderwebs to the lace adds so much to a simple character. And the thing, though, is, you know, a lot of artists, myself included, is we can be lazy, and we're like, no, we want to just pop it on screen. And with how my current art style is, there's no way for me to just, like, make a brush. I've had people tell me, like, oh my gosh, with how I do the weighted lines and, like, you know, the random, like, meaty bits to it and the textures, they're like, you will save so much time if you make yourself a brush. And I looked into it, I really did, but with how I do the inking, there's no real way for me to make a brush, because there's no real rhyme or reason. That sounds really bad, but I don't have, like, a perfected science of this is how it works. Is I usually go through it perfectly on one layer, where I just do a quick little, like, run through of the inking. It's when I was able to get confident lines, so I can usually do it really quickly. And then once that's all done, I look at it and I'm like, all right, let's just start adding weight to random sections. And so because of that, there's no real way to properly make a like, brush for it. I know some people could be like, well, I could. Good for you. That's great. I do mean that. I'm not saying that in a condescending tone. Congrats to you. I don't know how you do that. Because, again, I don't have any rhyme or reason for mine. I just like adding this, and I've had a lot of people compliment me on how my line art's changed a lot, but since I've been doing this style. And even myself, I've become so much more, like, in love with my own stuff, to where there's some artworks where before I, you know, didn't want to just keep it as is. I was always like, all right, inking is the next step to coloring. Not that I don't like coloring, but now there's points where I'm like, I just like the inks on this. This is pretty great, which is why in the future, when I do open up for commissions again, I will offer, like, inked examples, so, like, people can get, like, an inked version on top of, like, a fully rendered or a flatted version. But when doing the details in this one, I really loved seeing just how different, like, people draw hands, because I know not everyone does the way I do, like, with the weird sausage meaty fingers. The details in the nails, the details in the ruffles and the lace was just, it was just so much fun. I loved doing this part. And then, oh boy, let's get into when I started coloring my boy. Alright, so here we are. We are now at the coloring portion of my boy, The Embrace. This, ironically enough, this character is a collaborative character for a bigger project that I'll be working on with my friend the Zodiac Lord. So we both technically own him, but I write his character dialogues, and we both helped create his design together. For this project that I can't talk too much about right now, we've both collaborated on the character designs and, like, going through different examples of things. But, so, the character was drawn, he was sketched up by Danny, and then inked by Artsy, and then colored by me. And, oh my god, his braids, his twists, were one of the most irritating things to color. I'll talk about that more when I get into the coloring section, because right now I'm just currently doing the flats and the details to that. But it was really funny, because we were actually all on Twitch on live stream when we were working on this, and this actual part was a Twitch edit. Same with the sketching portion was a Twitch edit, because I'm doing more art on Twitch now, so if you guys want to follow me there, you know, it's in my social media link. But anyway, we were all talking and working on things, and we were talking about different poses, and I remember laughing really, really hard when Danny was like, I'm using that famous, like, Jeff Goldblum pose for your guy, I hope that's okay. And I'm like, honestly, that fits him, that fits this character so well, so I had a blast with it. While working on it, though, I did notice when I was doing his flats and things like that, a lot of people might notice, like, oh my gosh, why is he so, like, muted compared to, like, normal characters that Morgan and I have? Well, he's a vampire. And a big reason to that is when you add more colors to characters, especially something as big as, like, a comic project that we want to do, you more want to have a muted color tone. So when you add overlays and filters to it and, like, coloring, it doesn't completely mess up the character design. But also, another reason for that was for the simple fact that I love vampires, I love gothic aesthetics, I know my friend does as well, but we hate? We hate seeing racists and gatekeeping. I know, who would have thought it, again, bring it up again, it's marvelous how you think that. But I have seen so many people that are like, oh, well, you can't have a POC or a darker skinned vampire because, well, how are they pale? When I'm like, I am not a POC person. I have never claimed to be a POC person, but I know they can get pale because they are people. And so by that same logic, you can have a pale POC person without whitewashing them. I know, it's, oh my god, what? Who would have thought? So that's why his skin tone is that color, because there's another character that's related to him later on in the comic and stuff that has a much more, like, brighter, youthful skin tone because he's not a vampire. And so with that being said, it's actually really easy to make muted color palettes work and shading work on POC characters that don't make them look ashy, but still make them look pale and muted. And so that was something we really wanted to work on with the Embrace to make sure that we got it perfectly, because very clearly he is not a white character, and that is very important, And so that's also something else that we wanted to work on with that project in the future, is that, vampirism, aesthetics, and other things aren't just related to race, because that's a really big problem. I know it's like a really random tangent here, but it's kind of important, is because I consider myself part of the goth community. I dress very much alternative and goth in my own daily life. I love the artwork, I love the aesthetic, I love the architecture, I love the music, all that stuff. But oh my god, some people that say the most racist, messed up things, and then they're like, but it's just how it is. And it's like, okay, but it doesn't have to be. We can change it in the modern day. And, I think that should be a thing that should change, because a simple culture should not hold vampires. That doesn't make sense, especially in the context of what we're working on, where it's in, like, an alternate fantasy world, It just doesn't make sense to keep those same ideals. And also those ideals, again, seem to be, coming out from a bad place. And so with that being said, there you go. There's that tangent to that. So let's get back into the actual artwork on the matter. But it's something I felt was important and to at least be touched on a bit, because it's really sad that you don't see a lot of it. When they do exist in movies, they do exist in media. It's sad you have to look for it, but they exist, and I'm hoping that we're getting more towards it. So anyway, with that tangent being that it was, I was working on this, and I had so much fun with the reflective details working with Danny and Artsy's lines in the Embrace's crown and his gems. And the same thing went with the patterns and the textures that I put into his fabric, because he's supposed to be a more of a fancy schmancy character, who is also very proud to have the male titty out, which is also what goes great with the Pose reference. But I have just such a love for drawing reflective, shiny things. I don't know what it is. It's something that makes me really, really, really happy. And then I wanted to make sure that while doing that, I also gave, it might be a little hard to tell in the speed painted version, but in the finished one's very noticeable. I gave his clothes slight texture. I gave shading to his skin, because it's something that I've been doing more with my style. If you guys have seen my, how I color video, I talk more about that. But something else that I really love doing is I love coloring lines as well. I love coloring lines because I feel like it adds more depth to a piece. And it's really funny when I was working on this, and I was working on things where it ended up being where it ended up being where when I was working on the line work and the details to it, I had to remember, like, this isn't my normal stuff anymore. This is somebody else's, which is why I have such a love for doing these kinds of things and doing these things with my friends. So, anyway, I think that's it. That's done. I'll leave the picture up on screen again. Thank you as always for watching. Please check out Artsy and Danny's videos. They worked really, really hard on their ends, and checking out their social medias down below. Thank you so much for supporting me on Art-O-Ween. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I do here. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.